We got a lovely email.
Yeah, emails.
This email says, "Dear Beyonders."
Beyond.
That's us.
Sorry about the Secret Wars. First of all, I want to say I love the new show and it makes traveling to college for over 1 hour and a half bearable. Thank you. I had a 1.5 hour commute to community college myself. That not fun.
That sounds
Thanks for
lengthy.
listening.
Wow.
I recently dusted off my PS2 and started playing X-Men's Legends 1 and 2 again. These games have been two of my favorite games of that generation. Thinking of the nostalgia, I started wondering, with the new Avengers movie coming out next month, will there be any good superhero games in the nearby future? What are your favorite superhero games, or do you prefer Marvel or DC? Beyond, and thank you from Imuden in the Netherlands.
I was thinking about this the other
Thanks,
day. It's really odd that we're not getting movie licensed games like we used to. We used to just get bad ones, and now we get none.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well,
Like the Dark Knight.
No,
Dark Knight Returns didn't get a game. It got an iOS game. That's insane to me.
that's what we get now.
Yeah. On Super Nintendo, we would have gotten 100 games. Like there would have been a Genesis game that had its own set of levels. Like there would have been a bad PS1 game. It would have been a one-on-one fighting game in the Mortal Kombat engine or something. We don't even get those anymore.
Yeah, it weirds me out. There were no console Avengers games, no console Hunger Games games,
Crazy.
no console Twilight games. Like all of that is just super weird to me. Like
what did you want for Twilight? Like a simulator where you kiss a wolf?
I want Twilight Baseball. Have you seen that movie?
When they play baseball?
Have you seen that movie when the vampires play baseball and it's really weird and cringeworthy and embarrassing? All the vampires are really strong and fast, so they're just like basically playing Dragon Ball Z baseball, but looking all sexy and goth
they
while
listen
they
to
do it.
Paramore while they do it.
Yeah, it's a really funny scene, and it would make a great terrible video game to play.
I want a Twilight game that's like Buster Bust Loose, where everything's just a little bit every level's a little different. Remember that game?
Yeah.
The Tiny Toons game?
It bums me out that the
What a weird demand. They have a place for people like you. It's called Craigslist. You should go sell trash on there.
No, it bums me out that the last few Spider-Man games haven't been phenomenal, because I feel like
Two was so good.
maybe it was kind of smoke and mirrors, but on the PS2 back then, I kind of liked. I think it was Spider-Man 2.
Spider-Man 2 was awesome.
no,
Which was it was, and it was just like it was. I'm like, I love New York City, and I love being able to fly around that city. Even though there were parts where you can go over the river and just start shooting webs in the air, and they didn't connect to anything. It was like, I'm flying,
They were just planes, and I mean, just in the right.
Yeah,
places.
there's always just helicopters waiting for you. I think that's actually how they explain that. And then they sort of like. They kept trying it, and it was kind of like it went on the same kind of arc as like the Tony Hawk games, where they were just like,
well, that was Activision. The same
it was
time,
it was
time
the
period,
same. It was the same time, and they just lost a little something each time. So I'd love to see that come back. We're getting a new Batman game, but I don't think it has anything to do with the film. I don't think anyone's expecting it to.
No.
You know?
Yeah, but those are, as far as superhero games go, like that's the best thing we have going for us right now.
Yeah.
Which is weird because like DC in the movie realm obviously is way far behind Marvel.
So yeah, that's definitely true. DC is not on like the Marvel versus DC like competition right now is fascinating because like I would say that DC is doing way better with animated movies, with video games. And I kind of close draw, but I would say DC is doing better with toys and collectibles.
Okay. What about TV?
It's
like
they
Gotham versus
they
Daredevil.
definitely have the edge there, I think. But it's
Really?
like I don't know. I mean they're not, their stuff isn't connected, you know. Like I think
Yeah.
that Daredevil was kind of a huge that was like the difference is like DC's like here's the Flash and Arrow and Gotham City. These are some of our like big properties that we're putting on like CBS and the WB. The WB. I'm still gonna call it that. I'm never gonna call it CW.
The C-Dub. Remember that frog? Remember that WB frog?
I will never forget that
He
frog.
made me uncomfortable.
That was a great frog. Anyway, they're doing that. Meanwhile, like Marvel's like, we've got Agent Carter and like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like it's kind of they're not putting their best foot forward on TV because they're like, we'd rather save that for the movies, you know?
Yeah,
why isn't there a Flash
Daredevil
movie
was
or-
definitely their baby steps for that, of being like, we have a guy and he's going to address the something bad happened in New York once in the Avengers film, but we'll walk around that hole.
Really bad. Watched that first episode, and they referred to the incident, and for 20 minutes I thought they were talking about 9/11.
Yeah.
Well,
Until I brought it up, and they were like, the person I was watching was like, no, they're referring to the Battle of New York. I was like,
a hole in the sky above Times Square opened and aliens flew into it. Like I think that would probably get a little bit. It would be a little bit more of a thing people get a fuss about than 9/11. You know,
well,
not
was
to
a big deal,
discount
too.
9/11, but
yeah,
that would be definitely fresh in everyone's mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, on to video games. Yeah, I think that Arkham Knight, like DC is like doing awesome stuff there. They also had, Injustice was fabulous. It was a fantastic game.
Totally.
They had that MOBA. They had DC. They've got
Infinite Crisis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got DCUO.
Yeah.
Marvel, meanwhile, they've got Marvel Heroes, which is kind of like Diablo with free to play Marvel superheroes. I haven't actually ever bothered checking it out, but I like the idea of it. But at the same time, it's like I do miss that like large scale stuff. Like, the Activision did the Deadpool game, which was surprisingly fun. That could have been.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was pretty good.
Should have been way worse than it was.
Yeah. It could have been better, but it should have been way worse.
I heard a rumor. Totally, like this is I don't know. This is like somebody muttered this to me at a party or something. But I heard that this was like they cut about half of that game.
I know they cut like half the dialogue in that game because a lot of it was ad-libbed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Nolan North told us that.
Yeah,
oh, that's awesome.
That he would go in there and they would just be like, "Here's what you have to do. Like, here's your vegetables. Now your dessert's on you." And he would just basically make stuff up.
That's
and
awesome.
They were like, "That's great. We're doing that, or we're cutting that." Or
that was a surprisingly fun game. That was, but then Activision's got Spider-Man, and they just kind of like, I think a lot of it has to do with just, do they really want to take the chance of throwing like millions of dollars at a licensed property when they could just sort of like they can just do the iPhone stuff, you know?
Yeah. I get the impression that Disney is gearing up and sort of starting something big, and they realize how much money they make off the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they realize they could tap into the video game market as well, like outside of stuff like Disney Infinity with the Marvel sets. And I think they're going to be creating some sort of an internal gaming division where we're like, hey, we are going to take control of these properties ourselves, and we're going to make sure we're not going to dilute the brands by having a crappy Avengers game come out.
Yeah,
that's
in the meantime, they've got Disney Infinity to kind of hold over.
Totally.
It's smart.
And
I remember
stuff.
like I went to go see The Matrix Reloaded or whatever, and I ran home and I bought Enter the Matrix.
Yeah.
It was a bad game, but I had a good time playing it because I was just like, I don't want to go back to that movie theater and see that same thing again, but I love that universe. In the same way, I spent the weekend celebrating Star Wars, and I came home and I'm like, what Star Wars games can I play right now? Like, what Star Wars movies should I watch right now? What merchandise should I buy? Like, I got bit by that bug, and now it's inside me until Christmas. And when that happens, more babies will be planted inside from that same bug.
What's happening?
And then I'll burst into flames. Spiders will crawl out of my mouth. But then it sucks that if I go see Batman, I went to see the last Batman movie, Dark Knight Returns, and I was like, what do I have to play? An iOS game where I have to control it with like swipes and taps. Like, why am I doing this? Why isn't this on consoles? Why am I not running around like a full Batman game based on this movie? Like, why can't I punch Bane on my PS3?
Yeah.
Stupid. So I hope everyone understands that this is all these parts of the world have to come together.
I think the coolest thing that Marvel could do with what they've got going on is have a game that's just a game, you know?
Yeah.
Like have one of their properties that they're like, here's one, we are breaking this out. It's not based on a movie, but it's like maybe that's somebody that if it's popular enough gets their own movie. You know, I mean, it's kind of sort of what's happening with Deadpool, but that's all kind of Fox who's got the rights to that. I think that, having like I don't know what character they would do that with, because they're kind of really just pulling from all over.
Yeah.
But like, it'd be really cool to have somebody like I keep thinking like Iron Fist, like kind of like a deeper cut, but really just build the game around the character as opposed to trying to just shoehorn somebody into a game and be
definitely.
like, here's the thing. Yeah, I play a Power Pack game. Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah. Also, if you should check out, we'll put it in the show notes. We just posted a feature, like 8 of us, a group feature on what we'd like our sort of dream Avengers game to be. I said a Telltale game.
Yeah.
So that's what I say about everything.
Wow.
I said, like, I want to
Avengers
tell like
game-
the Civil War storyline through just dialogue choices.
Avengers game where you can't hit anybody
Yeah.
and actually feel like you hit them.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible, Marty. The worst part of Avengers when they talk
cool.
to each other.
That's the best part
I
of
like
the
when
Avengers.
I like when they hit each other.
No, I like when there's banter. It's like an episode of Gilmore Girls.
David
I like
banter?
my favorite kind of banter is the kind where there's a slight pause
Bruce
between each
banter.
person talking.
Yeah.
You got to spin a small wheel around.